obviously something that I haven't covered yet that came out yesterday was Andre Vasilevskiy going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. So the season starts in about a week and a half. So give or take, he's going to be out around like 7 to 8 of the first weeks of the season. It's obviously a massive loss because their backup goalies are Jonas Johansson and Hugo something. I literally forget his name. But Marcus, what's your initial reaction to that? How does this impact the Lightning, their playoff chances, their overall chances to go deep in the Stanley Cup playoffs? What are your thoughts on this injury and the ramifications?
So he's out 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah,
That's
8 to 10 weeks. Yep.
that's
First two
probably
months.
not. I don't know anything about their goaltending depth, but what I do know about Andre Vasilevsky and what everybody should know is that he's, if not the best goaltender in the National Hockey League, he has been for a couple of years. You know, those two Stanley Cups come off of him. He's amazing. And me not knowing much about these other two guys, it kind of ruins your confidence a bit. Yeah, I know. Um, it kind of ruins Tampa Bay's confidence a bit, if you really think about it, because when you have such a good goaltender, you know, you feel confident, especially as a team. And also what I notice is Tampa's defense is kind of like diminished over the last couple of years. So on that back end, they might allow a lot of goals, but a trade, that would be crazy for Andre
Yeah, I
Vasilevsky.
think I think they kind of got to do a trade just because the guy that the Johansson is like, he played for the Avalanche last year in like 2 games. He has a career like 880. So in looking at them for the past 5 or 6 years, Vasilevsky's played on pace for 60 games a year. So it's not like they've never really gone through this. So I think it is going to massively impact them in terms of the Atlantic Division. If you're Buffalo, if you're Florida, if you're Ottawa, you're obviously hoping that Vasilevsky is like healthy and all that good stuff, but you're kind of like licking your lips, being like, we can get out to a good start. Tampa starts like around 500. We're going to be a great position. You're Boston Bruins as well. So how do you think this impacts the Atlantic? Who do you think benefits the most from this?
Well, the way I've always looked at the Atlantic, especially over the last few years, is there's the experienced teams, you know, the Toronto, Tampa, Boston, and then there's the teams that are sort of building up, like Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit. You know, Montreal's still going to be towards the bottom. They have a lot to work with. But for teams specifically like the Senators and the Sabres, you look at this as sort of an opportunity where are these giants with big veteran talent finally going to, you know, fall off? You're just, as an Atlantic Division, you know, a guy who is a fan of an Atlantic Division team, you're waiting for that, you know, change of power, sort of, you know what I mean? As Buffalo and Ottawa, I'd feel a little more confident, but then again, Tampa has a lot of top end talent still, even with Vasilevsky out of the picture. So they'll still be competing, in my opinion. It's just, when does that, you know, power struggle like flip in
Yeah,
their
yeah. For me, I think people are definitely going to overreact to it. Like before the Vasilevsky thing, they probably safely had Tampa at like second. Now they're going to be like they're fifth or second. Like it's going to go way out of the place. Which 2 months is huge, but the regular season is still what, like 6 months, and they're definitely going to have a sense of urgency that maybe they lacked in previous years. Honestly, especially last year, they just like cruised once they were basically locked into that third seed. And I just think it's funny how people are probably going to pick them to like completely miss the playoffs. And then they're going to trade for like a half decent goalie. And then immediately it's going to be like, no, they're a playoff team again. So I don't think it's like the end of the world. This isn't 3 to 4 months without him, but it is a pretty big deal in terms of the Atlantic and changing up. Obviously for me, you probably see I'm like very high on the Ottawa Senators. So I already was probably going to pick Ottawa to be second in division, Tampa third. I think I'm pretty safe in that. I might even go Ottawa to win the division. I know you might think that's
Whoa.
absolutely insane, but like, I don't know. Like if I think they're going to be that good, we'll see. But how does maybe you can maybe preview your Atlantic Division standings? Where do you think that it stands right now?
I've been working on it a lot. I think consensus is that Toronto's probably going to be first.
Yeah,
Your pick with Ottawa interests me a bit. I think what they need to work on, I'm still a bit iffy for the Senators on their goaltending and their defense, and maybe filling out that bottom six a bit. Like they got an amazing top six talent. Like the young
yeah.
guys on that team, holy crap! I can't wait to see what damage they do if they all stay together. You know, but um, I mean, I can still see the Bruins, you know, making the top four. You know, it doesn't feel like they'll drop off that far, but they're obviously not going to replicate last season, especially.
Yeah, we'll dive into the Bruins in a
We'll
bit,
dive
but
into that.
when looking at the Ottawa Senators, it's funny how like last year they got all this hype, the best top six in the entire NHL. I didn't really buy into it. I think in my preseason prediction I said that they're going to be the most disappointing team, but I think this year they did improve the goaltending with Korpisalo. If Forsberg can stay healthy, Jake Sanderson emerged out of nowhere, so I think they were already on Tampa's level, and again with Tampa. And maybe now they will have that urgency, but they've really lacked that urgency. And I think Toronto, to a degree, they're really going to be experimental with their team this year. We already saw William Nylander playing center. So I don't know. They're definitely a safe bet to be first, but I think that at this point, they don't really care about winning a division versus Ottawa's going to be like so hungry to like validate their fans and validate their overall core that I could see a scenario where Toronto's a better team. Like in the playoffs, I'd pick Toronto, but I could see the Ottawa Senators just going balls to the wall during the regular season and then losing in like 5 games in the first round or something like that.